Hi, my name is Phillip Barnes, and this is my capstone project for wind power. First, the site assessment. I went back to Project 1 in the Pasquotank County residence, the 5 acres uh, near the river, if I remember correctly. And I was looking at it, and I think it checks out to be a very good spot for wind power. The number one factor in any site assessment for wind is good wind. Without wind, you have no power. You need the speed to pick up and spin the turbine or blades to pick up the power. And according to the North Carolina 30-meter map, this site picks up wind of about 6 meters per second, which is pretty good for especially residential wind power. And so the wind checks out for this area. Another important factor would be to have the necessary land available. Very few obstructions, which this site has, is pretty wide open. Um, by the way, this picture I have may not be the site. I found a picture of Pasquotank County where some wind turbines are, and I just figured this is about what it would look like. But this would provide very few obstructions, which is important so the wind doesn't have to go over hills and around rocks, and the blades can spin freely without hitting anything. And this also provides us with low turbulence. Um, any turbulence where the blades are shaky because the wind isn't steady creates a sort of drag, and so the wind turbine doesn't pick up as much power as it could otherwise. And so low turbulence is key for a site assessment, and this also increases the rotor size. The more area your blades can cover, the more power you're going to pick up, and so that is another plus. This also allows us to install a larger tower, which increases the wind shear. The higher you go up, the faster the wind. And also, the higher up you go, the lower the air density, less drag on the blades, just like turbulence. Uh, so more power being created. So the technology, of course, you're going to be connected to the grid. You need the tower, the hub, the blades, which is the most important part for this, the wind turbine itself. In this county, a small wind facility has a rated capacity of 20 kilowatts or less. which I think is the best option for us here. It's also going to provide us with the right amount of energy that we need. Anything bigger just gets really expensive, and you're just overdoing it. And so the small wind facility would be best for us here. The horizontal axis would also be best. It gives us the maximum lift. It could be an upwind turbine, which it'll always face the wind, so you're going to be not only facing the wind, but getting the most out of the wind as well. And so it's much preferable over the vertical axis. And the three blades, better than one with the drag, and two is not as stable. It also has a little bit of drag. Three, it's going to give us the most energy. It's not as much drag there. Minimal turbulence. Is very stable, and it's just more reliable of a system. So resource availability, North Carolina isn't the best state for wind power, but along our coast here, as you can see where Pasquotank County is located in the northern part of North Carolina along the coast, um, the wind is very good. As you can see from the map here, the winds go anywhere from good to outstanding. So that is great for wind power. Um, I think, we don't have a lot of power installed here in North Carolina, but the bit that we do, it gives us a lot of energy. So I think you're, once again in a great spot in terms of trying to install wind power. Some of the economic and fiscal considerations. As of 2015, the Department of Energy reported that the average installation cost is about $1,609 per kilowatt. And with our 20 kilowatt system, this is going to bring the installation cost to around $32,180. And after that, you're going to have an operation cost of around 5 cents per kilowatt. It sounds like a lot now, but there are things to help you out with that installation cost and get the cost down. And so you're going to be saving so much money. The 5 cent per kilowatt is basically nothing anyway. But that is, I mean, it sounds bad, but it's not as bad as you would think. I'll discuss that in a second here, but the average energy consumption of a U.S. home in 2015 was around 10,000 kilowatt hours, with a 20 kilowatt system only working 25% of the time. So I went ahead and used 25% because 100% of the time is pretty much impossible. And worst case scenario, which I put here as 25%, you could still offset all of your energy needs. So I mean, that's crazy to think that something of this size, only working a quarter of the time each year, you'll still offset your energy needs. So I mean, that is a huge thing to consider, and I think it'll be very beneficial because you'll be saving a lot of money. And speaking of saving money, as I mentioned before, we have these programs like the PACE financing program through the state government. It's a financial incentive where landowners can borrow money from the government to install cleaner energy, and you can pay it back over 25 installments. You can set up how those installments will be um, spread out, but this allows you to pay that 32,000, go ahead and get it installed, and then you can just pay that back over time, and it'll be a lot more affordable, especially since you're saving money from your energy bill to. And some of the policy considerations, which is something else that I don't think should cause us too many problems, but it's something to consider anyway. Here in North Carolina, we have the House Bill 484. Each state has a different permitting process, so no matter where you go, you're gonna, one place may say you can't have it within so many feet of a property line, or you can't have a tower taller than this. Here in Pasquotank County, I think you're going to be good with everything we have set up, and this shouldn't cause us any problems at all. More specific, in Pasquotank County, wind energy facilities permit applications must include a decommissioning plan. Just saying, if something were to happen, like you move or you want to take it down, you just have a plan to do so that's safe and effective. And that's no big deal. That'll take, maybe a few minutes, like to figure out. Plus, you'll probably want to keep it up anyway, so it's really not a big deal. Here in Pasquotank County, structures must be set back from property lines, distance equal to the tower plus the antenna, and another 10%. But here on this 5-acre land that we're using, we're going to install a tower that's 250 feet, which is the tallest tower you can use for a small wind facility in this county. And so we're still good. This doesn't violate any of those rules. So once again, this does not affect us. It's just something else to keep in mind, just in case you want to add another one somewhere else, just so you know. The permit holder must have liability insurance, the same as just about any other big possession that you have, in case of any accident or something were to happen. You feel a little safer knowing that you have this liability insurance. And lastly, there are special and conditional use permits. You can get these from the Board of Commissioners after a public hearing. They're mainly for, in case. And we are good to go.